All right, sorry for the delay. Okay, our sponsors. What today is the 16th? 17th. Today's the 17th. Okay. All right, a year of learning by Sue and Arnie Garlick in memory of Malcolm Perlman and Philip Mann. Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henry Rivka Pro Rosner bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. In memory of family murdered in the Holocaust, Harav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim. Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Sharon and Fred Liska, their family and many friends. In memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman, Edel Bas Yaakov. Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents. Harry and Marjorie Sedell Irving and Pearl Kaplan. Friends of Avi Gidler, Avrameir ben Shimon and Martha Gidler, Charna bat Yeshaya. Children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Sarah Tova bat Yisrael Dove in her memory. Friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef ben Chaim. Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine, in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata bat Asher. Friends of Nina Monester, Nechama Asna bat Yitzchak Aharon. Many friends of Stephen Vigdor, Lazecher Nishmat Simcha Melech ben Meir Leib Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz, in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. Month of Learning by Carol and Josh Sanborn, in memory of her father, Yehoshua Shia ben Moshe Yehuda HaKohen. David and Sharon Carpel, in memory of his father, Zeb Moshe ben Shlomo Yaakov. B. Pizer, in memory of her mother, Razel bat Shammai. Grace and Julius Rosenzweig's children, Barbara Rottenberg, Ann Berezin, Judy Friedman, and Alan Rosenzweig, in honor of Roz Greenberg Haskell's special birthday. Mel and Haran Haller, in memory of his mother, Fega Bas Yaakov. B. Pizer, in memory of her stepfather, Avram Michal ben Shmuel Halevi. A week of learning by Tema Harrisburg, in memory of her husband, Suriel ben Rachmiel Halevi, Sharon and Jerry Ness, in honor of Roz Greenberg Haskell's special birthday. Mark Linder, in memory of his nephew, a soldier in the IDF who died in Lebanon, Eretz Paul ben Surlis. Jack Kaufman, in memory of his wife, Dvorah Necha bat Mordechai Tzvi. That is it. Min Shamas Heaven Aliyah, Crank Rafia Velti Shir Shem Atzliah, and L'chol B'nai Israel, a good gebench job. Okay. We are, okay. Okay.
First one. That's some of that. Second. First one. We always go back.
Okay. I want to go back for a special particular reason. I found today's Gemara difficult.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, and having looked at it about a third time already this morning, that was twice yesterday and once today, I think that there is a different, and Eric, you have Koren there, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody else? Okay. And Steve, you have a slightly different translation also, right? Okay. So I think I felt that there was slight difference in the pshat here between Koren and Art Scroll. Okay. And I'm not sure if it was some of the explanations they gave. Some things were very right on, very common. Okay. So for example, I'm going to tell you right now that when we get to Chet Amud Beis, I'm going to point out to everybody, make sure they look at note number 11 on that page.
When you get to the end of the Indian, it clarifies.
Okay. So, so we'll do the best we can with all the help we can. All right. All right. So that's why I want to go back to
You want to avoid it? And
No. I want to connect it. We saw in the Mishnah, okay, I know time frame, but we saw in the Mishnah a machloket between Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai as to what was going to be the value or the minimum or whatever for Olas Re'iyah versus Shalmei Chagiga. Okay? Now, they both use the same terms, okay, in terms of money, okay? One was a silver mana, one was 2 silver mana, basically, okay? But they attach the value differently to the different korbanos, okay? I'm going to suggest that keeping that machloket in mind, if we now go into pick up today's Gemara, all right, we're going to see that it has a application to that issue. Okay, all right, and in that context, remember we said that there were 3 different korbanos that were brought on the holiday: the Olas Re'iyah, okay, there was the Shalmei Chagiga. Okay, and then there was and Shalmei Simcha. Okay, and it's clear already from yesterday's Gemara that it had to be animal offerings and not meal or bird offerings. Okay, so I'm hoping that by reminding us of that framework, it might help us try to understand today's Gemara. Okay, Avrami, you still using the other text too? Okay, so if case there you see stuff there that helps clarify. All right, Avrami's using a Hebrew perush that I'm familiar with a little bit. Okay, so I want to start Zion Amud Beis, the next to the last line. Okay. So the question was asked, Ma'ishna Chagigat Yom Tov Harishon Shel Pesach? Why did the Gemara pick on that as the example? Ma Ravashi is going to try to clarify. Ha Kamash Malan, it comes to teach us Chagigat Chamisha Asar and Chagigat Arba Asar Lo. That's where we finished yesterday. Okay? Basically in that text, Art Scroll wanted to say, okay, in their explanation, okay, that yes, it must come, the Chagiga from the 15th must come from Chulin, the Chagiga on the 14th it need not come from Chulin.
Which is just really a heck. You have to be full before you can eat the Korban Pesach. Okay. So the machlokes is that obligatory, or is it a hechsher for the Korban?
Okay, I think your lashon might confuse people a little bit more, Michael.
No.
Okay, let me take Michael's comment and just spin it a little differently. Okay, we know that we're supposed to eat the Korban Pesach on Sova. Right? So the question may come up, okay, as we're going to go into today's Gemara, okay, what if you, okay, and you're supposed to purchase what animal with what item, and if you're supposed to eat it on silver, you're supposed to eat something else in advance of that to be able to satisfy the requirement of silver. So maybe I purchase my animal for Shalmei Chagiga, okay? And I eat that so I can then eat the Pesach, okay? And fulfill the requirement of the Sova. But if my Shalmei Chagiga is something that is a requirement, haven't I been told then I can only buy that animal out of unconsecrated money, out of chulin. So I have this question. Let's say I can only afford one animal. Can I use both chulin money and maaser sheni money together to buy that one animal so that I'll have enough meat to be able to satisfy the requirement of eating shalmei chagiga from part of the animal, holding a little bit back, and then eating the rest of the animal to satisfy my korban pesach?
No, you could. I believe you could buy a larger pesach and just have the last kizayis be your pesach and the rest be the rest of your dinner.
So if I'm buying a larger animal, can I then combine my chulin money and my maaser sheni money, okay, to do that?
Not on a pesach.
That's part of the whole issue.
We're talking about the chagiga if you don't buy a large.
Right, that's what the whole issue is about. Yes.
How large can the animal be?
How about an ox? Huh?
No, but you could eat an ox with a chagiga.
Right. Right.
You also have a problem with baltash.
You're saying you're going to buy a bigger.
You could buy a larger lamb instead of, or a goat, a baby goat, smaller than a baby lamb.
Right. Anyway, so all of these are items. Avrami, you wanted to share a Rashi.
That's another fact.
That's what the Rashi wants to point out, is that the chagiga of the first day of Yom Kippur is a chov, it's an obligation. That has to come from chulin. All chagigas have to come from chulin. Whereas the chagiga that you might have on Erev Pesach in order to satisfy the requirement of the shova, that's an option.
Right.
And Rashi points out, if the korban Pesach, there were a lot of people involved in that chabura, for that korban Pesach, and since there were a lot of people, they're not possibly going to be satisfied from eating the korban Pesach, so then they have to have a chagiga for that. But that's, again, it's an option. If the korban Pesach was enough to satisfy people, then they didn't have to have a chagiga on Erev Pesach. That's why that chagiga on Erev Pesach is not for maaser sheni.
Right. Okay. So now that we're still confused, we can go on. Alma, top of Chet Amud Aleph, trying to clarify what Rav Ashi was saying. Alma kasavar chagigat arba'asa lavda oraita. That seems to imply that Rav Ashi is of the opinion that chagiga that would be taken care of on the 14th is not Torah mandated. Okay, in other words, if it's not a chov of the Torah, the implication would be you could use what you want. Exactly. Or you could combine. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, after all, you're reading it in Yerushalayim, so maaser sheni money
has to be eaten there, right? Food from maaser sheni.
So that people have. If you're a farmer, you're giving 1/10, actually 9.8, but let's call it 1/10 of your produce is maaser sheni. And you have only 2 weeks, really, Pesach and Sukkot, that you're normally in Yerushalayim. So to simplify you, even if you're poor, you have 5 weeks worth of food money to spend in 2 weeks.
Right.
So, and that also will influence, if depending on your affluence, that even if you're poor, you've got tons of money, so to speak, to spend on Shlamei, Simcha, or Chagiga.
Okay, let's see. Amamar, says the master, Beit Hillel Omrim, Min Hamaaser Amai. Beit Hillel says you could purchase that using consecrated money, okay, tithe money. Davar shebechovahu. But the Gemara points out, wait a second, that we just said that is a chova, and we said the chova has to come from chulin money.
Now we're talking about 50.
Right?
We're not talking
right,
about
not the 14th, it's the 50th, okay? B'chol davar shebechova, Eino ba'ela min hachulin. And we clearly have said that this is the case, that anything that's obligatory has got to come from chulin. Now, Amar Ula. Ula now is going to try to give us a different suggestion. B'tofel, which basically means we can combine the chulin and the maaser sheni. Now, of course, what are we going to get to? An argument all about this. Chizkiya Omer, says Chizkiya, toflin behema lebehema, ve'ein toflin ma'ot lema'ot. We can combine one animal, I'm going to say purchased by maaser sheni money, and another animal combined purchased by chulin money.
And serve both at the
Okay, and therefore one might be your shalmei chagiga, one might be something else, right? But we cannot combine the monies themselves.
and buy one animal.
Okay, in order for one animal. Rabbi Yochanan disagrees. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, toflin ma'ot lema'ot. We can combine chulin money and maaser sheni money, ve'ein toflin behema lebehema. But we cannot combine the animals. Now we've got a braita that supports each view. Okay, Tanya Kavate de Chizkiya, the braita that supports Chizkiya tells us, Tanya de Rabbi Yochanan. Tanya Kavate de Rabbi Yochanan, namely it says, Misat, right, from that pasuk in Devarim 16:10. Okay, if I look real quick, it's in Art Scroll, I'm sure. Right? Right. It's note 7 on 8A1 if you've got Art Scroll. Right? You shall observe the festival of Shavuos for Hashem. You're going with the tribute, misas, of your voluntary offerings, which you shall give as Hashem your God will bless you. Misas, translated here as tribute, carries the connotation of an unconsecrated source. Okay? Now, so that's his argument. Milamed she'adam mevi chovato min hachulin. Okay? As you bring this from chulin money. This clearly supports
well, not yet. You gotta keep
one view. Uminayan she'im ratza la'arev ma'arev. And how do we know if he wants to combine it, he can combine it? Talmud Lomar, another pasuk, Ka'asher yevarechecha Hashem Elohech. As Hashem blesses you. Namely, since Hashem has blessed you and you've got this money,
got this nice and shiny,
right, as well, right, you can do that. Tanya Kavate de Chizkiya, and a braita teaches in support of Chizkiya. Misad, again the word, same pasuk, Milamed she'adam mevi chovato min hachulin. Says that he has to bring it from unconsecrated. Beit Shammai omrim, yom rishon min hachulin, mikan ve'elech min ha'maaseh. Okay, so according to Beit Shammai, fine, you can bring the using unconsecrated money. You bring it to, when you satisfy your requirement of bringing it on the first day of the holiday. But if you bring it other days, you can use maaser sheni money. Beit Hillel omrim, says Beit Hillel, achila rishona min hachulin. That first.
One correction.
Yeah.
Beis Shammai is saying the Shalmei Chagiga, even if it's on day 2 or 3, must be from Cholin, but the Shalmei Simcha may be from Meiser, because the normal paradigm is a Chagiga in day 1 and Simcha.
Art Scroll's translation, whereas offerings brought from here on.
Yeah, meaning
Shalmei Simcha may come from Maaser Sheni.
Right, but not the Chagiga. The Chagiga,
no.
even if you bring it on
and,
the last day.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to get to. That's why I've got my Art Scroll open here. Achila Rishona, first consumption, that's the Shalmei Chagiga, brought on the festival. And by the way, Koren, I don't think spells that out. Eric, okay? Doesn't define it that way. All right, that was why it, okay? Achila Rishona, okay, that was that. Mikan ve'elach min hamaaser. From then on, the additional Shalmei Chagiga.
Simchos.
No, Art Scroll here says additional Shalmei Chagiga, even if they are brought on the first day. Looking at eight,
Okay, if you have additional food at the table.
Okay, he says that comes from the Maaser Sheni. Okay, Ushar Kol Yemot Pesach. Okay, and the other days, Adam Yotzei Yedei Chovato b'Maaser Behema. Okay, and the other days, one can fulfill his obligation with, right, Maaser Behema, the animal type. Okay, B'Yom Tov Maitam Alo, and on the first day, okay, why not? Right? Amar Rav Ashi, says Rav Ashi, Dilma Ate LeAsor B'Yom Tov. Why? Because it's possible that one might come to tithe, to do their animal tithing on Yom Tov. And why can't you do animal tithing on Yom Tov? Says the Gemara, why? Because that's the red dye that they use to mark the animal. Every 10th animal, they would geschlacht, on the animal to show that's the 10th. So they're concerned at that. Okay. So the Gemara asks now, back to our lashon in the pasuk. My mashma dahai misat lishna dechulinhu. How do we know clearly that phrase, that Art Scroll translated as tribute, okay, clearly implies chulin, okay? Dichtiv, why it says, Vayasim hamelech achashverosh mas al haaretz. Very appropriate that we learn this around Purim Katnita, right? Okay, that yes? Taxes come from your money, not from consecrated money. Okay, that's the implication. Okay, going on now. Yisrael yotzin yedei chovatan b'nedarim b'nedavot. We said that the average Jew, non-Kohen, could fulfill his obligation using, okay, offerings that were gifts or vows. Tanu Rabbanan, Bata Braita teaches v'samachta b'chagecha. You shall rejoice in your holiday. What does that tell us? L'rabot kol minei smachot l'simcha. That therefore that can include all kinds of happy occasions, all right, offerings that are brought, right, for happy occasions, right? Mikan amru chachamim, from here the sages said, Yisrael yotzin yedei chovatan b'nedarim, u'nidavot, u'b'maaser behema, okay? That an Israelite can fulfill his obligation with vow offerings, with gift offerings, with tithed animal offerings. Va'kohanim, and the Kohanim, what do they satisfy it with? Bechataot, va'asham, u'bebechor, u'bechazeh, u'v'shok. Other normal offerings brought for Kohanim, like guilt offerings, asham offerings, firstborn animals, shoulder, thigh, etc. Okay? Yechol af ba'afot u'b'menachot. We might have thought then that if it was good for any other offering normally going to the Kohen, it should include meal and bird offerings. Talmud lomar v'samachta b'chagecha. But the pasuk says you should rejoice in your holiday, and since the chagiga must be a meat offering, all right. As we go on now to the next amud. Okay, mi shechagiga ba'amehem, since the chagiga must come on the top of the amud from sheep or cattle, animals, yatsu elu she'ein chagiga ba'amehem. That excludes then any kind of offering that is not from sheep or cattle, such as fish or meal Okay.
Fish.
Or bird.
Or birds. Birds. That's what I meant. Birds. Okay.
That's fishing.
Right. Thanks. Rav Ashi Amar, says Rav Ashi, mi visamachta nafka. He says you derive that simply. You don't have to say visamachta bechagecha. You can just derive it from the first word. So therefore, we're going to ask, what does Rav Ashi then do with the second part of that word? Right? Yatsu elu she'ein bahem simcha. Therefore, that tells me that it excludes any offering that doesn't identify as a means of simcha. Okay, so therefore, v'rav ashi hai bechagecha, and therefore that other part of the pasuk, what does he deal with? Ma yavidle, how does he handle it? Hahu l'kedavrav Daniel bar Katina. He uses that regarding the statement of Rav Daniel bar Katina. Da Amar Rav Daniel bar Katina. Okay, Amar Rav in the name of Rav. Minayin she'ein nosin nashim b'moed. How do we know that you don't get married on Chol HaMoed? Okay, Shnei Amar v'samachta b'chagecha v'lo b'ishtecha. Okay, that you rejoice. And don't share this one with your wives.
So a good steak dinner is better than a wife.
I don't know about
That's what
that.
Daniel says.
I don't know about that. Don't mix the two, right? Okay, all right. Ein ma'arvin simcha b'simcha. That's all. Okay, let's get to a new Mishnah. Is this any easier? I don't know. Okay. Mi sheyesh lo ochlim. One who has multiple eaters, multiple consumers. Okay?
Merubin.
Right? Merubin, right? V'nechasin mu'atim, but he only has few possessions. Mevi shlamim rubim va'olot mu'atot. He brings few shalmei chagiga, right? But
no,
shalmei
he spends more.
Mevi shlamim rabim. I'm sorry. He brings many shalmei chagiga,
which he can use my
right? Va'olot mu'atot, but very few olot re'iyah.
Which means because he doesn't have
right?
Personal fund.
Nechasim merubim, if he has multiple possessions, va'ochlin mu'atim, and few consumers, right? Mevi olot merubot. He brings multiple olot re'iyah, okay? Because why? It's being burnt up. He doesn't get any part of it, doesn't get to eat it, right? Okay, v'shlamim mu'atim, and few, okay, shlamim. Zeh v'zeh, okay, if it's both this and this, mu'at al zeh ne'ama. Okay, all right, why he's here? He just brings a minimum. What do we mean is the minimum? On this it was said, and this is where we came back to that base Hillel, base Shammai argument. Right? Ma'a kesef, okay, shtei lech kesef. Okay, 1 minute of kesef, 2 of the zev v'zeh merubim. Okay, all right. What does he have if he has multiple possessions and multiple consumers? Al zeh ne'amar. On this it was said, ish kimatnat yado kiverkat Hashem Elohecha asher natamach. If you've got it, spend it. Okay, that's the implication, but spend it for good purposes, right? Appropriate offerings of both kinds. All right, let's go on. Gemara now says, Shlamim merubim mehecha maiti. If you say that he's going to bring additional shlamim, where is he going to get it from? Lidle. He's just said he doesn't have a lot of possessions. So how can he spend it a lot on, okay, a lot of shlamim? Amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, tofel umevi par gadol. Okay, he combines the money, in other words, the maser money, maser sheni money, and the chulin money, and he buys one large animal, in this case an ox. Amar le Rav Sheshet. Rav Sheshet, however, responds to Rav Chisda. Hare amru toflin behema lebehema. But here, right, we saw the argument before between Chizkiah and Rabbi Yochanan as to what you could combine, whether you can combine money or combine animals. All right, and here he cites that said that you combine animals. Rabbi, all right. Ma'ika amarle. So what did he say to him? Ilema hachika amarle. If this is what he said and meant to tell him, Hare amru toflin behema lebehema. Here we say that one combines one animal and another. Avalo ma'ot lema'ot, and not money. Velema, let him say simply, let him simply say to him, Ein toflin ma'ot lema'ot, period. Just simply say, we don't combine monies, garnished, that's it. Ela rather, hachi amarle. This is what he intended to tell him. Hare amru af toflin behema lebehema. Here he's saying we can't even combine one animal with another animal. Keman, but according to whom is that? Delo kechizkiah or delo Rabbi Yochanan. That seems neither gave you that opportunity. And if you want to say, Emoraihu, the pligi, that this is a machloket of the Emoraim, matnaita lo pligi. From our Mishnah text, there doesn't seem to be an argument. Vahakatani achila rishona min achulin. Right? Okay, and here we teach clearly that the initial consumption, okay, as our school, okay, has to come from unconsecrated money. Maya achila rishona. So then what do we mean when we say the first initial consumption? Shi'ur demei achila rishona min achulin. Okay, that the measurement, right, the amount of that first consumption has to come from unconsecrated. Amar Ula, Amar Reish Lakish. And Ula says in the name of Reish Lakish, if, right, the following. Hifrish eser behemot lechagigato. If someone set aside 10 animals for his, let's call it for the moment, Shalmei Chagiga, right? And what did he do? He kriv chamesh biyom tov rishon. He offered up 5 on the first day of the holiday. Chozer umakriv chamesh biyom tov sheni. And then he offered up another 5 on the next day of the holiday. Rabbi Yochanan Amar says, according to Rabbi Yochanan, Kevan shepasak shuv eino makriv. Since he made a stop between in the 10, between the first 5 and the second 5, he cannot do it on the.
He can't, the other 5, he can't.
The second set of 5 cannot be done on the second day.
So it's a question of intention.
Oh, I don't know that. Let's see. I'm going to phrase that as a question.
Yes.
Eric's question, is it an issue of intention? Okay, that's his question. Okay,
that's a possibility.
That's what I said. We got to see. Amar Rav Abba v'lo pligi. Okay, we're saying here that's not the case. Kan bistam.
No, there's no real argument.
Right, he's saying that here maybe there is no argument here. Kan bistam. Maybe we're talking about a situation where the person with the 10 animals, was he explicit in what he was saying, or was he not explicit? Kan b'mafaresh.
No, that's making your intention.
It's got to be a verbal. Got to be verbal. That's the issue. Oral. It's got to be okay. So it's not enough because intention might be what's in his head, but it's got to be verbal, oral statement. That's what the Gemara wants us to catch. Okay? Hi stam hechi dami. What are we talking about when we're saying, is it explicit or not?
Since Chagigas are always the first opportunity,
right?
Why do you have to speak it out?
Why do you have to spell it out? Right. If you're going to say that they ran out of time, he brought all 10 animals at once. They offered the first 5, and then all of a sudden the Kohanim say, hey, it's 5 o'clock, quitting time, you know? What?
They didn't even start the first
Miller time.
Okay, whatever. Right? Okay. Hi, delo ekravinu, deleka shahud biyom. The fact that they didn't offer these last 5 was because they didn't have enough time. Ve'ela delete le ochlin. Or if you're going to argue, okay, maybe they didn't offer the second set of 5 because he didn't have enough consumers. Okay? Haidelo akravinu delete le ochlin. Here in this case, they didn't offer the extra 5 because he didn't have enough people to eat it. Okay? And if you're supposed to eat, again, I'm throwing back the Pesach on the Sova, and you've got to have.
It's the first day.
I understand that.
14.
I know, but I'm saying you still have that concern.
You don't want to be over Baltashvis. There's a time limit on how long you have to eat a korban.
Right.
And you don't want to be over Baltashvis.
Could be.
So if
Could
you don't have enough eaters, you don't slaughter the
extra animals. Okay? Lo tzricha. Okay? No, says the Gemara. In this case, de'ika shahud biyom ve'it le'ochlin. No, maybe we're saying that there was enough time during the day, and he had enough time, enough consumers.
And he just chose not.
Okay?
Now it's
okay.
not verbal anymore.
Right? Well, let's see. And what happens? Mi de bekama lo akravinu. Okay, and the fact that they didn't offer these other animals. Shmamina shiuri shairinu. Okay, all right. So here, if that's the case, he purposely waited, and therefore they're not permitted to be done on another day. Right? Vahachinami mistabra. And here this seems logical. Because when Ravin came, he said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Hifrish eser behemot lechagigato. If one had designated and separated 10 animals for his Shalmei Chagiga, right? Hikriv chamesh biyom tov rishon, and they offered up 5 on the first day. Chozer umakriv chamesh biyom tov sheni, okay, and then they come back and offer 5 on the second day. Kashyan ahadade. This seems to be two Rabbi Yochanans that contradict one another. Exactly. All right. Elalav shmamina, but must we not learn then from here? Bistam, we're talking about explicit designation. Kan b'mafaresh here, and then the other one is not where he just talks in general, and the other where he explicitly has said so.
These are going to be a
right.
movement.
Right, that these are extra shmamina, and that's what we learn from this. And we're going to stop right there. Okay? And we'll pick up tomorrow there.
So we guess right.
Okay? All right, because we'll go over tomorrow. Because it's really going to continue, but I think rather than get more complicated, we'll pick up. All right. Unfortunately, the rest of this is, I could have gone over to the top of the Mishnah, but I thought better from it. Okay. appreciate the additional input. I just Avrami, how do you find that explanation there? Is it?
That's terrific. It really spells it brings.
It's very. I mean,
what he does is he brings them a forsham and like puts them in place, so you don't have to bother.
I have, yeah, I have found using that also in some cases actually easier than, although the Hebrew art scroll, is different than the English art scroll. Awesome.
The Hebrew art scroll is more like this Sefer.
Yeah.
But not quite. Here